So now that we have recorded our slices, I'm ready to move on to drums. So over here on Group B, I have a drum kit loaded up from a few samples. Now make sure in pad mode that fixed velocity is no longer selected. Remember, we had that going for the samples, but when we're doing drums we don't want that on. I'm going to create a new pattern here. Make sure it's 4 bars long to match the first pattern that I recorded. I'm just going to play back the first samples and just play around with the drums and find something that sounds good to my ears. Okay, so I think I have something in mind. Make sure I'm on that new pattern and just record what I have in my head. So my hi-hats were a little bit uneven with velocity, so I'm just going to fix that using the computer really quickly. Going to make those a little bit more even. Alright, so that sounds good, and if you want you can select just your hi-hats, press the shift button and the select button, and then select your hi-hat pad. That's going to highlight all your hi-hats, and then you can quantize those 50%. I'm going to go to my grid, over to step, change this to 1/16. Then I'm going to quantize those 50%. That's just going to move them a little bit more in line. Make sure things are sounding in time with the slices that we recorded, because remember when I recorded those slices, I completely quantized those. Okay, so I like the drums that I recorded. I'm going to head back over to the sample group and do a couple different things on here to make sure that everything sounds in line. So the first thing I'm going to do is go up on the group tab up here, and you can see that I have a couple effects loaded. I'll get rid of these and show you how I did this. I'm just going to remove and remove. So first effect slot is empty, that's what we want. Going to head up to the modules menu, shift, push browse. Going to scroll down to filter and load that up, and then exit the modules menu here. So now I have a filter loaded on this sample group. Going to change this mode to high pass. Just going to let the high frequencies through and cut off some of the low ones. Now the reason I'm doing this is if you hear the sample, this is going to cut out some of the lows and make room for the kick drum in my drum group. So this is cutting off too much, but I'm just going to move the cutoff frequency up until it cuts off a little bit of bass, but not too much. So it's not that noticeable of an effect, but if I bypass it, you should be able to hear a little bit more of a cleaner sound. So to my ears, it just doesn't sound quite as boomy. So the filter's on there now. You can change any of these to suit your particular sample. Going to head over to the next effect slot, back into the modules menu, and just scroll down to compressor and load that up. Now this compressor, I'm going to actually use something called sidechain compression. And basically what that's going to do is lower the gain of this group triggered by a different sound on a different group in Maschine. It's a little bit confusing to explain, but I'll walk you through it. And the best way to see what it actually does is just hear it working in this track. So again, I have this compressor set here. I'm going to head over to the second page. This is where we'll find the sidechain options. It's your source here. You can scroll through. This will give you a list of all your different sounds. So I'm going to go to Group B, and if I go to the drum group, Group B, and the kick drum is sound 1. So I'm going to go back over here, choose group B, sound 1. So this is going to decrease the volume of my samples whenever the kick drum plays. So right now it sounds like this. So you have that really big pumping effect. That's a little bit too much for me, so I'm going to bring this gain down. That'll make it more of a subtle effect. And again, none of these are things that you have to use on every single one of your projects. Just something that I like to throw in here once in a while. And to me, it makes it sound more of a cohesive track rather than just some drums thrown on top of a loop. Okay, so that all sounds good to me. What I might do is duplicate this pattern. I'm going to hold the duplicate button and pattern button, press again, then might add this ride symbol on top just to add some variety. So we have drums and samples, and to top this all off, I'm just going to add a few melodic instruments. We'll move on to that now.